That's awesome. So what drew you to performing?
I think at the time, quite frankly, Mike, being able to be somebody else
Yeah,
and not be the person that I was in that environment was attractive to me.
like an
And
escape.
also standing on stage and getting applause wasn't a bad thing. So I got positive Ranson, the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. He's been my mentor now, as you know, for 21 years. And it's just been incredible the impact that he's made. I was talking to him recently and I was telling him about some of the cool things that we're doing with HOA.com. And he's like, wow, that is so cool. How did you think of it? I said, honestly, Mark, you inspired me. I got into a prepaid phone card company and I just got excited. I got passionate about it. And so in the first 100 days, sorry, first 10 days, I had 2,500 people. No, that's not right. I had not in 9 days, I had 100 people in my downline. In 30 days, I had 2,500.
Wow.
And in 90 days, I had 5,500. So they made me VP of sales. And that was an incredible experience because I became the top earner in the company.
Right? And they would share it with me.
Yeah.
And so the same thing happened with the husband, did the exact same thing. What was your favorite thing about this? I would submit to you that if you're a mortgage lender and you're newer in the business, ask the client that's been referred to you by the realtor, what's your favorite thing about that realtor?
Mm,
Okay. Let
yeah.
them tell you how amazing they are, right? Pull it out of them. Did you know there's a technology that's actually an app on your phone that uses sound waves to tell your brain what you want your brain to do? We had a young man that was on a guest on our podcast, the Mike Litton Experience, who had a traumatic brain injury. He was sleeping 3 hours a night. He's using NewCalm now and he's sleeping more. Go to newcalm.com, Mike15 promo code. Newcalm.com, promo code Mike15 for an extra 15% off. Go today.
Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience podcast. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. Mike is passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
Brandon Barnum, thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience. I'm super excited for our time together. I'm super excited to talk about your book. I thought it was awesome, by the way. And I know there was a lot that went into it. I want to talk about your HOA certification that you're doing and all the other amazing things you're doing with Mark Victor Hansen. Thanks again for being here, bud.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Mike.
Excited to have you. So, where were you born?
I'm born in Portland, Oregon, back in 1970. So I have kind of a unique experience as far as growing up. My parents got divorced when I was about 4, and mom decided to be a hippie lesbian. So, man, even though I grew up in Portland, we moved every single year for like 8 years straight. So it was
Wow.
an interesting childhood to be sure.
What was your favorite thing about growing up like that?
Well, everything makes sense in the rearview mirror. So
Yeah.
looking at it now, what it empowered me to do was to be outgoing and have to meet new people all the time and get out of my shell. At the time, that wasn't great, but now in retrospect, it really equipped me to be the man I am today.
It's a real tool, right? I mean, the the
Yes.
the ability to go out and sort of drop yourself in the middle of nowhere, and now all of a sudden you got to get to know people, right? You start, making friends and influencing people and the whole thing, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I went to a different school, kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade. So 7 years in a row, just like
Unreal.
you said, it was drop you off in a new place with new
Yeah.
people where you know no one and start all over. So,
Wow.
there's something to be
So
said for the gift of
where
that.
where'd you go to high school?
I went to high school at a place called Grant High School in Northeast Portland.
Yeah. So did you have a favorite subject at Grant High School?
Back then I performed. So I did a lot of theater and musicals, and I think I did 12 musicals while I was there at Grant.
That's awesome. So what drew you to performing?
I think at the time, quite frankly, Mike, being able to be somebody else
Yeah.
and not be the person that I was in that environment was attractive to me.
Like an
And
escape?
also standing on stage and getting applause wasn't a bad thing. So I got positive reinforcement from that. And I'm like, hey, this is kind of fun.
So your very first play on
Yeah.
stage, it finishes and you get applause. How does that feel?
It felt awesome. It was the Music Man, and I was the little brother of Mary and the librarian, and
Yeah.
got to sing a solo, and it was fantastic. And also not just the applause for me personally, but to be part of that group that had
Yeah.
created that had worked for months to create this production, and then to see it go from rehearsal to performance was fantastic.
That's awesome, man. In high school, did you have a favorite teacher?
Well, I spent the most time with my choir teacher because I used to sing in 4 choir classes a day. So Janet Howland was my number one.
Awesome, man. Isn't it amazing how teachers can have a massive impact on your life?
It's huge. It's huge. I'm a big advocate for mentorship. I'm a big brother and actually an ambassador for Big Brothers Big Sisters, and it's so impactful. And you need somebody to take you under their wing and kind of show you the ropes. And I say everybody should have a mentor and be mentoring somebody else.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. We're big about paying it forward on this program. We talk about this a lot. And it's one of the things that as you get through people's life stories, you find that these mentors have come in and out of their lives. And we feel like that it's incumbent upon us to actually pay it forward. So, in honor of those people, some of them aren't here anymore, right?
Right.
In honor of those people who really didn't have time to help us, really had a lot more going on, but they stopped and they took the time to sort of guide us in the right direction. I feel like we need to do that as adults
Yeah.
to honor them. That's a big, big deal.
It's huge. Yeah, no, I do that right now. My mentor that's changed my life is Mark Victor Hansen, the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. He's been my mentor now, as you know, for 21 years. And it's just been incredible the impact that he's made. I was talking to him recently and I was telling him about some of the cool things that we're doing with HOA.com. And he's like, wow, that is so cool. How did you think of it? I said, honestly, Mark, you inspired me. Your vision of creating a world that works for 100% of humanity has shaped the way that I view the world. It's changed my personal life's mission and story, and it's thanks to your mentorship.
That's cool, man. That's really cool. We just had his wife, Crystal Dwyer Hanson, on last week
Oh, cool.
or a couple weeks ago. And man, we had a great time. So I interviewed Mark a couple months ago, and he was at home in his home office when I interviewed him. And
Yeah.
she came in and asked him, she said, "So did you have as much fun as it sounded like you had?" Right? And he goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, more, way more." And so he sends me an email afterwards that he thanked me for my time and everything, right? And he said, "By the way, this is Crystal's cell phone number. Call her. She wants to be in your podcast."
Oh, that's awesome.
It was
Yeah.
really cool. We had a great time together. They're just
Oh,
amazing,
they are amazing. They are amazing. Yeah. If you ever had the opportunity to be around Mark or Crystal, you're grateful for the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. So after high school, where do you go?
After high school, I went to Portland State University, which is went and got a business degree. Ended up meeting my wife now of 27, almost 28 years
Wow.
at Portland State. So got a marketing degree. I also found out in college that you don't have to be married to have a kid. So before I met my wife, I had a child, and a year after I met my wife, I was a single dad.
Wow. Wow. That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, so after college, so in college, let me ask you this. In college, what was your favorite thing about attending Portland State? Other than meeting your wife, of course.
Yeah, I'd say meeting my wife definitely. What's interesting is I didn't feel like I learned a lot at college, quite
Really?
frankly, that I carry forward to this day. But my favorite class was a class called entrepreneurship, of all
Very nice.
things, figure that. And I had this instructor called Jack Taylor, and he said, "You've got to look through the world with new eyes, and you got to see the future, and then go create it." And that stuck with me. You're talking about mentorship earlier. That was the most impactful. So college is fun, but again, I had a child in college, and so I had a little different experience than others. But that lesson really changed and shaped my life.
So on a self-serving note, full disclosure, I
Yeah.
just was hired last week as an adjunct instructor for real estate for a local college.
Oh,
And
cool.
I'm really looking forward to teaching my first class and having an impact on these kids, these
Yeah.
college students. And
Yep.
so we'll see how it goes, but I'm really, really excited about it. So
Oh,
pretty
that's
cool stuff.
congratulations, Mike. That's
Thanks, man.
amazing. Oh,
Thank
that'll
you.
be so
I'm
fun.
excited about it.
I was just talking to the dean of the business school at Grand Canyon University, which is the third largest university here in Arizona, and he invited me to do the same thing. I don't have a master's, so I can't go be the adjunct. Clearly, you do. But we're looking at taking my Raving Referrals content and bringing it into the curriculum
There you
at
go.
GCU.
I love
Because I'm
that.
like, are you guys teaching referrals at all? He's like, we don't teach that subject. I'm like,
Wow.
you're missing the boat.
Yes,
We're
they
talking
are.
about in the B2B world, 84% of business to business transactions happen through referral. And so if you don't teach referrals, you're missing it, man.
Yeah. So full disclosure, I'm working on my master's, but I don't have it yet.
Oh, okay.
They were able to approve me with
Nice.
less than that, simply because of 33 years of experience, and I also was a guest instructor for the college for a number of years, for over a
Nice.
decade. And
Nice.
so the people that I helped, the professors that I helped, basically came to bat for me,
Yeah.
and they approved me. So it was
Awesome.
amazing. So, but we'll be getting the master's degree finished, and it's going to be awesome. So
That's
excited about it.
fantastic.
Super excited
That's
about it.
cool.
So, in fact, tonight we're taping this on June 2nd. Tonight I'm flying to Stanford, and I'm actually speaking tomorrow night to their public speaking class. So they have
Wow.
their semester end party thing that they're doing, and
Yeah.
I'm going to go up and do a little teaching and speaking to them. So super honored to do that. So um, pretty crazy. So I get to go visit my son too, which is more important, right? So
Nice.
after college,
Yeah.
where do you go?
Yeah, so my first job out of college, I was the marketing director for an estate planning law firm.
There you go.
And it was interesting because I went to the job interview, and the the attorney that owned the law practice said, "Look, we're a law firm, but we're really a marketing company." And he was being mentored by Jay Abraham,
Ooh, I love Jay.
right?
I
And so
love Jay.
literally, I worked there for a year, and so for 1 year, I got to read all of Jay Abraham's strategy of preeminence
Yeah,
and Dan Kennedy and Gary Halbert and all
yeah.
of these copywriters and marketing gurus.
Huge Dan Kennedy fan too. Yeah, that's
Oh,
awesome,
amazing.
man. That's
Right?
awesome.
Yeah.
That is
So
so
that's how
cool.
I started out. I was, 23, I think, at the time. And so I was just absorbing all of those marketing gurus and geniuses. It was awesome.
So what's the single most important thing you learned in that first year?
So with that organization, what we did was lunch and learn. So it was
Mhm,
the power of live events.
mhm.
So basically, my job was to help fill rooms. We would do newspaper ads, a little bit of radio, some direct mail, and we would bring senior citizens into lunch events, typically like a buffet type of a scenario. So we'd feed them in exchange for them listening to an hour class about living trusts. And I got to see this engine working
Yeah.
and the power of bringing people into a live event, educating them, and then enrolling them. And that was the biggest lesson I learned from that.
So here's a question. Here's the $64,000 question for all the people that are listening, because I guarantee you there are people listening to this that want to do lunch and learns, have been thinking about doing lunch and learns, right? Or
Yeah.
maybe are trying it and it's not working so good. How do you get all those people in those seats? What's the secret?
Well, in that case, we were doing heavy advertising, right? Because we knew that for every person in the room, it basically cost us $100 between the advertising and feeding them lunch.
Right.
But on average, we generate $700 in revenue per person. So we were
Wow.
happy to spend $100 to make 700.
Sure. Was that 100 per client, or was that 100 per attendee?
Per attendee, but we looked at it as couples because oftentimes we would have a husband and wife. We wanted to
Gotcha.
have both couples if possible. And typically the age range that we were targeting, they were doing life together. They were retired, and so they're happy to come out together. But yeah,
That's
a
cool. So
hundred
kind of
dollars
the perfect age.
per
Yeah.
buying unit, right?
Yeah, I
If you
got
think
you.
that way.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's cool, man. That's awesome. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
So
you bet.
after you work for the estate planning firm, where do you go from there?
It's interesting. At that point, I had gotten custody of my son. So all of a sudden, I was making like 20 grand a year. is all, in my first job out of college. And this is back in the early 90s. It wasn't much money, but I took the position because of the mentorship and the marketing. And now I've got custody of my son. He's 2 years old. And now I'm like, okay, I had bought a house. I couldn't afford daycare and the mortgage that I had. So I convinced my boss to lay me off so that I could collect unemployment. And I went into network marketing full time. And I was basically, over the course of several months, I started out with a company called the People's Network, selling personal development TV satellite dishes.
Wow.
And quickly learned that even though that was my passion, it wasn't a passion for everybody else. So I ended up getting into a travel company. And then from there, I got into a prepaid phone card company. And I just got excited. I got passionate about it. And so in the first 10 days, I had 2,500 people. No, that's not right. I had not, in 9 days, I had 100 people in my downline. In 30 days, I had 2,500.
Wow.
And in 90 days, I had 5,500. So they made me VP of sales. And that was an incredible experience because I became the top earner in the company. And it was really because of education. I was using education as a way to help people understand what they wanted out of life and how they could get it through what we were doing.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
So how long were you there?
I was there for about 9 months until I had full custody of my son,
Mhm.
but I was allowing his mom visits every other weekend. And one weekend, she didn't bring him back.
Oh, no.
So she kidnapped him, and for 5.5 months, I didn't know where he was. So I was, searching for him. Went through a major bout of depression, as you can imagine. But I had to make a change in the business world because I was traveling too much and it just didn't work. So I ended up getting into the mortgage business after that, and that's really what changed my life. I went from earning $20,000 a year to $200,000 a year within 18 months. Because I had somebody mentor me in the art and science of what I now call raving referrals.
So how did you end up in the mortgage business?
I was looking for, just the one as I'm looking at different opportunities, who's hiring, what are they looking at? I knew that I was good in sales and marketing. And so that's what I wanted to sort of be in that world. But my mother was a commercial real estate broker. And I thought, boy, if I could be in the world where she could send me some business and others could, and I had just bought my first house not long before. So I went through that process. I saw how much the loan officer made on my loan, and I thought, I could do that. And I'm good with numbers, good in sort of a consulting format. And so that's how I got in the business.
That's awesome, dude. That's really, really cool. So you get into the business and you're mentored by whom?
I was mentored by the branch manager of a company called First Tennessee Bank. So
Okay.
honestly, that's 28 years ago. I don't even remember the guy's name.
It's okay.
Mark,
That's all right.
Mark something or other.
Yeah. So somebody at some point taught you about raving referrals. Talk about that for a second.
Yeah, so he didn't call it that, right? But basically, I was like a sponge. I was so hungry. I wanted to learn what was the best practices. What are the people that are top producers at the top of the game making six figures a year? How are they doing that? And so, I started interviewing real estate agents, but I had this branch manager that would teach and train me to, go out and be in front of real estate agents and how to win those referrals and relationships over time. And what I learned again was, because of my marketing instructor saying, look at the future and go build it. Back then, this is 1997. And at that point, most of the real estate companies either didn't have a website, or if they did have a website and they had any listings at all, they had one exterior photo of the house. And I thought, this is silly.
Yeah.
People want to sit at home and go online and be able to search for homes and shop from their comfort of their own home.
Right.
Now, there was no Zillow. I basically built an early version of Zillow. So I created this website called pdxhome.com. PDX was Portland. And then what I did was I featured listings from the realtors I wanted to win business with. So I would find a listing, call up the agent and say, hey, I'd like to feature this home on the Portland Online Home Buyer Guide. And what I learned from the mentor was you want to give first, right? You want to make a difference. You want to add value to as many people as possible and stand out from the crowd. So I created my own website, early version of Zillow, and it allowed me to give something to these agents. I was also able to attract clients directly who I could then refer to the agents that were referring business to me. And that's what changed my life. That's what took me from $20,000 to $200,000 a year in just 18 months.
So I know we're dipping into the book, and I love this part of the book, but can you talk a little bit about, so
Yeah.
this whole so the reason why I want to stop here is this is
Yeah.
sort of a running theme with our podcast, in that we've had a lot of conversations with people who have done very, very well in the mortgage business, in the investment business, in real estate, in other, like investments, that kind of thing.
Mm.
And what we find is they have mentors, but we also find that they learn certain things from those mentors. And one of the things that it seems like everybody who's succeeded at a very high level has learned is, if you want to do business with somebody, go figure out a way to add value to them. Right? If you want something
100%.
from a mentor, don't call the mentor up and go, "Hey, can I pick your brain?" People do that with me all the time. And what I tell them, honestly, Brandon, is it won't take long. Okay? Because it's slim pickings. I got 3 brain cells left and you're welcome to them, right? I mean, it's, when you call a mentor or a potential mentor, somebody you think you can learn from, what I would suggest is, and you tell me what you think, but what I would suggest is call them up and figure out a way you can add value to them. It could be
100%.
it could be that you work for free for them. It could
Yeah.
be that you provide them with a free online ad. It could be any number of things, right? But it's the law of reciprocity.
That's
Talk
right.
about that for a second.
Yeah, so huge, Mike. And that was something like when I first met Mark Victor Hansen, I knew what you were saying was true. And I'm like, I don't want to ask for help.
Yeah.
I want to show up as help. I want to make a difference. I want to find out the mission that this guy's on. And that's how we got into relationship. But going back to the mortgage days, you're 1,000% right. What I wanted to do, well, and I learned this from my mentor, and then also in talking to top producing realtors, because I knew some and I interviewed them and I said, I'm getting into this business. I know nothing. Would you just allow me to, ask some questions so I can understand who I need to be to win business from an agent like you? And they would basically tell me what was important. And then I built a business around adding the value that would make a difference. What did they want?
Yeah.
Those agents at that point, number one, they wanted me accessible basically at any time. If they had a client, they wanted to know I'd pick up the phone and take their call, whether it was the evening or the weekend. But number two, they wanted more business. They wanted more referrals. And so that's why I concocted this whole program, so that literally it was built to add value to them and to elevate their expert authority. Nobody else was promoting them online. Nobody else was asking them to speak at events, because again, I started doing live events as well. And by adding as much value as possible to the other person, you become invaluable to them, and then they want to reciprocate, just like you said.
Yeah, totally agree. So it's one of those things where, and again, I'm just throwing my 2 cents in here, right? Obviously, I've got an extensive background in the mortgage business and that kind of thing, and I found that what made me successful, what created Raving Referrals for me, was literally going out and adding value to people, right? And it's almost like you go and you sit with them and you're like, look, tell me what you need. It's like you're doing like you're taking a survey almost, right? You go and you sit down with them and you're like, okay, and it's a needs analysis, right? I was
That's right.
certified in sales mastery with Tony Robbins 30 some years ago, long time ago. But one of the first things I learned from him was that sales wasn't at all what I thought sales was.
Mm,
No joke. It's
yeah.
not what I thought it was. And so what I figured out was you need to do a detailed needs analysis. You need to ask really good questions, right? You need to discover what it is that they actually need. Then you need to figure out a way to fill it. When you talk about, I was just listening the other day to a podcast. They were talking about Bill Belichick. And specifically, they were talking about what they learned from Bill Belichick. And it was, and this gentleman had an opportunity. In fact, you know him, you know who I'm talking about, it's Barry Habib. But Barry had gone to Barry, in fact, this is Barry's book. I apologize. It wasn't a podcast. It was Barry's book. He had gone to a mastermind thing that was a breakfast that they did before the Super Bowl. And he sat with Bill Belichick. And one of the things that Bill Belichick said was the single most important thing you can have for a teammate is dependability. Everything else, everything else pales in comparison. Dependability is a big, big deal. You answering the phone at night, you answering the phone on the weekends, them being able to depend on the fact that they can reach you and they can get you and they can get their questions answered, right? Is that dependability? It's you adding value in every way you possibly can. Yes, you were helping them with marketing, and yes, you were helping them build their business with more leads. But those leads that they were getting, you were helping them keep them, and you were helping them capture them. Okay, and that's a big, big deal. And I want people in our industry and also in other industries to understand how important this is. Right? This is a big deal. You can't just show up, throw out a business card and some jelly donuts and figure that you're going to get business. It's not the way it works.
Right.
Right? It's just not the way it works. Did you know there's an app that has no side effects that allows you to use sound waves to tell your brain what you want it to do? It's called newcalm.com, and it's amazing. It literally uses sound waves. If you want to tell your brain to go to sleep, if you want to tell your brain to recover, if you want to tell your brain to put you in peak physical state, if you want to tell your brain to focus, if you want to tell your brain to take a power nap, you can do all of these things and more with newcalm.com. Go to newcalm.com today, promo code Mike15. Newcalm.com, promo code Mike15 for an extra 15% off.
And I think there's two things there. I think the dependability, you're absolutely right. Like, you want to be someone that they know that they can depend on, that they can trust, that their clients are in good care when they refer them to you. And likewise, one of the things that I always did is I wanted to edify my partners. So anytime I had a client that had come through one of my partners, I was just raving about them, giving them glowing recommendations, all with integrity, right? You never say anything that isn't true. But I also wanted to boost that client up or the partner up, because I knew that if that client ended up closing with that professional, and they had heard good things about them from me, that word traveled back. And they would say, oh, Brandon was just raving about you. And now we've got both sides working together on that collective client.
You know, can I stop for just a second and throw in a personal story? So years ago, I had a mentor who owned a realty executive's office here in Escondido. And I was in his office. I was brand new in the business. I was in his office and I was talking to this realtor, and he walks up behind me. He's about half my size. His name's Joe McCarroll. Super, tiny guy, but carried a big stick, right? Really powerful. And so he goes, Mike, walk me to my car. So I walk him to my car. And halfway to this car in the parking lot, I'm like, Joe, whatever I did, I won't do it again. Please don't kick me out of your office. He goes, I'm not kicking you out of my office. I'm saving you. Will you get over here? So I get over there and he goes, listen, if you're going to build your business working with that person, that agent in my office, that's a barracuda in pantyhose. You're building your business the wrong way. You're headed for failure, son. Right? Mm-hmm. And I said, okay. He goes, I've known you all of 2 weeks. And I know you want to be the best of the best in this industry. You want to be one of the captains of this industry. Well, now he's got me, right? Now I'm paying attention, right? Yeah. And he goes, you're going about it all wrong. You need to go find the one of the top 5 producing mortgage banks in San Diego County and get on their builder group, which I ended up doing and ended up becoming one of the best builder reps in the nation. Okay. Nice. And by the way, 97 was one of my best years. I had a breakout year in 96. And 97 was one of my best in terms of making money. Nice. And I quadrupled my income, by the way, from 96 to 97. It was crazy. So what was interesting, though, was I worked with this home builder, and I was in their plan 3 model. I was in their plan 3 model. And I would go when a client would pick a house, I would go take their loan application in the plan 3 model. That was back when we did things on paper. Right. Yeah, so right. I sat with them at the dining room table. And a couple of times during the application, the husband once and the wife once went, okay, hold on. I'm nervous. Okay, let's stop. We don't have to continue. What is it about this plan that worked for you? What was your favorite thing about this plan? What was it that made you think this is my house? Right. And they would share it with me.
Yeah.
And so the same thing happened with the husband, did the exact same thing. What was your favorite thing about this? I would submit to you that if you're a mortgage lender and you're newer in the business, ask the client that's been referred to you by the realtor, what's your favorite thing about that realtor? Okay. Let
Yeah.
them tell you how amazing they are, right? Pull it out of them instead of telling them, pull it out of them. This is where we go with the power of questions thing and the
Yeah.
book we're writing with Mark called The Power of Questions, right? Shameless plug. Okay.
Love it.
But it's literally, that's literally what we're talking about, right? So I go through the second time the husband stops us, right? So we stop and I ask him the same question. He tells me, and then he's like, okay, let's go forward. We finish the loan application. I get a phone call. This is in the morning. In the afternoon, I get a phone call from the president of the division of that particular home builder, right? And he says, I want you to come in for an interview. An interview? What? Excuse me? Right? And he goes,
Right.
I want you to come in for an interview. And I said,
Yeah.
okay, I'm pretty sure I'm your lead lender, right? What would I be interviewing for? And they said, well, we've decided that we want to interview you for our sales and marketing position. VP of sales and marketing.
Okay.
Now, bear in mind, I'm in my 20s. Okay.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. So I go in the next day and I interview with them. And I'm
Yeah.
like, how'd this happen? And they said, well, the head of our division was in that model around the corner eavesdropping on your loan application.
Nice.
And as soon as you were finished with your loan application, he snuck out the back, called the president and said, I found your VP of sales and marketing.
Oh, wow.
Get him in here.
That's great.
Okay. Well, here's the tough part. I would have had to have taken a six-figure plus
Yeah.
cut and pay to
Yeah.
go be the VP of sales and marketing.
Right.
Now, there are people that'll tell me that I probably should have taken it, but it was still a really big compliment. I mean, that was a big deal.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
the thing is, learn from this. You never know who's listening. You
Yeah.
never know. You're always on stage. You never, you know what I'm saying? You never
Absolutely.
know who might overhear a conversation you're having. So anyway, so yeah, but that was one of those things where it wasn't so much the sales agent as it was the product, the actual new home plan that they were buying. And this happened to be the plan 3, was the most popular of all of them. And I knew there was something that made them want that place, right? He loved the garage. She loved the kitchen. That's what it boiled down to. No joke. She could see
I love
herself.
it.
They didn't have kids yet. They could see themselves growing their family in that
Yeah.
property. She could see herself making meals and watching the kids play next to the kitchen, right? The whole thing. I mean, it was awesome.
What's brilliant about what you did, Mike, is you really pulled out of them.
Yeah.
You talked about the power of questions. You pulled out from them the things that they wanted most. While they started to go into anxiety and fear and concern and doubt, you got them focused on what they wanted rather than what they didn't want.
Right.
And that's the key to sales, isn't it?
It really is. And by the way, we shouldn't be scared or afraid to go to what they don't want, because oftentimes, and here's something people need to listen. I hope they're taking notes. Literally, this is the truth. This is as true as it gets. When a client or a prospect has some sort of trepidation, okay? If all you do is ask them about that trepidation and get them to tell you what it is, they relax. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen in your life. It's like when you walk into a store. By the way, Chris Voss talks about this and Never Split the Difference. I love Chris Voss. Huge shout out to Chris Voss. By the way, I want him on the podcast. So if anybody knows him, I want him on the podcast. So Chris Voss, huge Chris Voss fan. But one of the things that Chris teaches in negotiation in his masterclass is start with no. It's like when you walk into a store and somebody asks you if you have any questions or you need anything, you're like, no, just looking. When you actually had a question, right? And you actually wanted to ask them, but it's like, you have to do that first to make yourself feel better. Once they get it out, once they get whatever that is out, that trepidation, it doesn't feel so large. Once they say it, they're like, oh, okay. I stuck up for myself. Now I feel better. Not joking.
So true. And one of the things that I talk to people a lot and really teach my team is that you want people to feel comfortable and to feel like they have the information they need to make a wise and informed decision. And
Absolutely.
so I teach people those magic words, right? Listen, I want you to feel comfortable. So take as much time as you need. And just by giving people that space and grace
Mhm.
of saying, I want you to ask any questions that you have. I want to make sure that you've got all your questions answered because I want you to feel comfortable and confident so you make a wise and informed decision. And just sharing those magic words, people will relax. They'll be like, oh, okay, so there's no pressure. This isn't like some high pressure pitch car sales situation, right? This is really a consultative service experience, and you're helping people get what they want to make the decision to get the ultimate outcome that they want.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that 1000%. The thing about it is, you're literally saying to them, if we succeed here, you're going to be comfortable.
That's right.
You're going to feel confident in the decision that you've made. You won't have any questions. You know that I'll be here, right? That kind of thing. And so it's literally that conversation, that dialogue that helps them to sort of take a breath and sort of just
Right.
relax. That's incredibly key. That's the key to this thing. It really is. That's awesome, man. Okay, so let's talk about dun 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 dun, right? Let's talk about raving referrals. So there are people that are listening to this that are thinking about writing a book
Yeah.
and they haven't done it. Talk about the mindset that how did you get there?
Yeah, so writing a book was one of the biggest challenges of my life. Honestly, it's something that Mark Victor Hansen's been mentoring me with since 2004. And so for a long time, I had wanted to write a book. I started writing a book back in about 2012. And it wasn't until 2020 when the world kind of changed and I had some time on my hands. I said, I need to get this done.
Yeah.
And so I really took the month of December of 2020 and I had built a table of contents and kind of outlined the book. I had plenty of stories, at that point of 20 years in the referral business. I had lots of people that I could highlight and feature, but it just took the discipline of every day sitting down and writing that content and getting it done. And then, you go through the revisions because you want it to be the best that it can possibly be. So I was so happy to have it complete.
Yeah.
And it really changed my life. So anybody that's thinking about being an author, it's something you should definitely consider. We always, of course, recommend you connect with Mark Victor Hansen if you've got the ability to do that. And Mark has helped so many people become best-selling authors. But it changes the game because now people don't see you as a salesperson. You're truly an expert and an authority in a subject. And now you've got it's a pull marketing strategy, as Jay Abraham would say, rather than pushing yourself onto people, you're pulling them towards you. It's a total game changer.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And one of the beautiful things about Mark is Mark literally is accomplished in this arena in terms of he has the Guinness Book of World Records. He's the record holder for the best-selling nonfiction author in the world. 600 million copies or some crazy thing. I mean, it's crazy, right? But it's amazing. And the stuff that he's learned over the years is just incredible. I mean, he is such a resource. He really is. And so, I mean, so is Crystal too. I mean, the two of them they're just like we talked about before, they're just amazing. So once you finish the book,
Yeah.
how did you feel?
Felt totally fulfilled. And one of the things that we did in the book is, again, we want to lead with value. How can we add value to the people that we want to be in partnership with? And so one of the things that we did in the book is we featured a lot of people that were, industry experts and influencers. And I felt fulfilled in being able to bring this to the world, but it also allowed me to celebrate, highlight, spotlight a lot of incredible people. And so, one of the things that I teach people as they go to create their own book is to sort of build their book launch partnership team in the book itself. If you feature people and you're promoting them and adding value, they're naturally going to want to spread the word. So
And by the
it was
way,
awesome becoming that best-selling author, right, instantly, and having that accomplishment under my belt.
so I want people to hear this, okay? And I think it's incredibly important that we talk about this for a second. Best-selling authors want to help you become a best-selling author.
That's right.
They want to contribute. They absolutely do. I have had, I don't know how many dozens on, we've done, this is episode 333 for our podcast. And I'll bet you I've had over 100 authors on. And
Mm.
every single one of them I've approached about, hey, would you be interested in helping us with our book? Absolutely. You say the time, you say the date, I'm there. It's like, whoa, not even remotely, no reservation, no nothing. Nobody said no. Everybody's like, oh, Mike, we want to be a part of this thing. We want to be in your book. You know, I mean, awesome, really awesome. So I want
Yeah,
people to
and again,
understand it's a big deal.
it's a big deal. And when you can incorporate others, you're shining the light on them. It also gives you social media content when you go and release the book. Now you're not just talking about how cool the book is, you're talking about how cool Mike Litton is, and Mark Victor Hansen, and Crystal Dwyer Hansen, and all of the people that you've integrated into the course, the content, the curriculum that you're teaching. So it's really shifting it from me marketing to we marketing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And that's the most powerful of all. Absolutely the most powerful of all. Okay. So people are, if somebody wants to get a hold of Raving Referrals, they can get it on Amazon, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anywhere
You
else?
you can go to ravingreferrals.com. And here's one of the other things that's really cool, Mike, is because of Mark's mentorship.
Mhm.
To me, he said, don't write a book, build a brand. And so we've chicken souped it, right? The first
Yeah.
book was Raving Referrals. I've got a book for dentists here. This was book number 2.
Yeah.
Book number 3 was for mortgage pros. And then the latest book is for real estate agents. Now I've got 20 more titles planned because Mark said, don't write a book, build a brand.
Yeah.
And the other thing that one of the things that I did is I said, okay, what are all the ways that we can take this curriculum out to the world? So it's not just a book. I'm on podcasts like this all the time. We have created a course with continuing education credits. And now we've enrolled nearly 50 certified trainers. So now what I've got is mortgage lenders. And I was just on with somebody from Fidelity National Title today. They want to get their people certified as trainers and be able to train our content and our curriculum on a localized basis. So now we're empowering the people who want to be in front of our perfect prospect. We're giving them the curriculum, the course, the content that helps them be in front of rooms full of realtors. They're the expert authority teaching my content. And then at the end of the course, we've got a QR code where we're capturing all of the leads. So now we're asking people to rate the course, rate the trainer, and it's got a 9.5 net promoter score. So the people that take the course freaking love it, which is fantastic. And on average, they're giving more than one referral per person that sits in the class. So it's been super successful, and the vision has grown. In fact, a month ago, I was up in Salt Lake City, and I got to show you this video because I know we're doing this as a video version. What was so fulfilling is for the first time, I got to see a room full of coaches, real estate coaches.
Yeah.
And we spent 90 minutes going through the book and training them how to actually coach right out of the book.
How cool is that, dude?
It was so fulfilling. Mike, this was a dream come true for me.
Yeah. How proud were you? Oh my goodness.
Right? We're sitting there, and for 90 minutes, we're talking about each table chose a different chapter. And so they were talking about how, as a real estate coach, they can use this content and curriculum to really make a difference in the clients that they serve. So it was just so fulfilling.
That's so cool.
It was just a dream come true.
That's awesome, dude. Congratulations. I'm happy for you. I didn't know about the certification course for Raving Referrals. That's amazing. So if anybody's interested in that, that's listening to this, and we probably have some people that are interested, where do they go? ravingreferrals.com?
Yeah, you go to ravingreferrals.com. You'll see trainer certification up at the top there, and you can click that button. It'll lead to a conversation with me.
Okay.
We're selective about who we bring on as trainers because you're representing our brand. But we're definitely looking for more trainers, and especially mortgage lenders, title insurance reps, property and casualty insurance agents, people that love to train and educate, and they want to speak to rooms full of realtors.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love it. Okay, so now I want to shift gears for just a second because we talked about this before we hit record, and we're gonna talk about it real quick. You also have a thing called HOA.com, and you
Right.
have a certification where you're now that you've rolled out, right? That's now available,
Mhm.
where realtors can go and get certified
That's
as
right.
an HOA instructor. So talk about that for a second.
Yeah, what we realize, so with HOA.com, we're on a mission and
Yeah,
we're really creating a movement. It's about unity through community and connecting our neighborhoods again.
yeah,
We started out as a software as a service business,
yeah.
and we quickly realized that we're really a community as a service business. What we're doing is to help these HOAs. 53% of all homeowners in the US live in a homeowner association, but there's no brand leader when it comes to HOAs. I ask people all the time, what's the number one brand you think of? And the only answer I get is, I don't know.
Mhm.
Right. And so what we've done is we've created the only certification in the real estate industry where real estate agents can become certified HOA specialists. We teach them everything that they need to know about how HOAs operate, how to analyze an HOA's financials, and identify any red flags, stay away from the bad HOAs, and drive your clients to the great HOAs, but also how to become that top trusted agent in those communities you farm. How do you partner with the HOA boards? How do you stand out and elevate your expert authority as that certified HOA specialist? So it's a 4-hour online course that they go through, and they can go to HOA.com and they'll find it there at the top of the page. And what happens is these agents that are going through the course, they now have a way to stand out from the competition. We give them turnkey marketing materials like an HOA listing presentation kit, an HOA activation playbook. So they've got turnkey marketing content they can copy, paste, and post. But it's really about being endorsed by HOA.com and specializing in an area that's different from every other real estate
Well,
agent
having
out
that certification sets them apart too,
there.
right?
Does.
And let me ask you this. I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you since you're the expert.
Okay.
Is the percentage of people who live in HOAs going down or going up?
It's going up. Yeah.
Yeah, fast, right?
88% of all new homes are being built in HOA communities. And so it just continues to grow. And again, it gives the real estate agent the opportunity to be the exclusive in that community. So it gives them a huge expert authority bump.
So since you're the expert in this, here's the $64,000 question.
All
Why
right.
do you think that percentage is going up? And why do you think 88% of new homes are being built in HOAs?
I think there's several reasons. Number one, home values in HOAs are higher than non-HOA communities. So a home in
They're
an
more
HOA,
attractive.
yeah, they're more attractive, they're better managed,
Yeah.
right? I don't want to live next to a house with a truck on blocks or next to a house with pink and purple doors, right? Weeds growing out of control, because homeowner associations manage and maintain their communities. They're gorgeous. They're where people want to live, and all the builders are building HOA communities.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to cover before we wrap up?
I think the other thing is whether you're a real estate agent, mortgage lender, or other professionals who serve homeowners, take time to really invest in those local communities. Be that community champion. We talk about unity through community, and that's bringing people together. And again, we've been hitting this drum of live events. We're using live events to bring the communities together. And the genius is the HOAs are so happy when a real estate agent throws an Easter egg hunt or a Halloween, trunk or treat event,
Mhm.
and they'll actually promote and endorse it. So now you've got not only HOA.com endorsing you, you have the individual homeowner association endorsing you. So think about how you use live events within your business, because when you're face to face with people, that's when they know you, like you, trust you, and hire you.
Yeah, and get involved. I mean, this is another important thing, right? Especially if you live there and you're a homeowner there, get on the condo board, right? Get on the HOA board, get involved. Go out and invite people to the meeting. Be the person that's there when they come in to sign in for the meeting. Hello, it's really important that you meet these people and you get to know them and you figure out what's important to them in the community. Go knock on their door. Ask them what the HOA is missing, if anything. Right? What's their favorite thing about that HOA? What's their least favorite thing? Take those notes down, right? Take those surveys and find out. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's seriously, man. It's something that you
You're
should
right.
be doing because it gives you an opportunity to have a conversation with them about the community in particular and what they feel like would make the community better.
Yeah, you're so right. We call it being a community champion, and
Yeah.
that's really what it's all about. When you become known in that community, those communities that you farm, then it elevates trust. People will hire you, they'll start to talk about you. And when you really add value, like we were talking about earlier, to the HOA board members, but then all of the homeowners, when they see you showing up and really committed to their community as that champion you are, it changes the game. And now you win a ton of business from those communities.
So it's reciprocation.
That's
Wow.
right.
It's amazing how we came back to the same thing.
Well, again, it all makes sense in the rearview mirror. And I look at my life, 28 years in the professional season of my life, and I feel like everything has come together to create this movement of unity and really bringing people together. People are more connected through technology than ever before, but they feel more disconnected than ever before. So we're actually building an AI friend match, kind of match.com for friendships within the neighborhood. Because we're like, you know what? There's people that need to get connected that have the same interests, the same hobbies. Maybe they like pickleball, maybe they like Bible study, whatever it is. Let's help them connect and actually have more friends in the real world right there in the neighborhood they live in.
Yeah. And pickleball is a big deal, man. It's hot.
Yeah, it is.
Brandon Barnum, thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience. This has been amazing, man. This went by fast.
Oh, thank you, Mike. Appreciate you having me. It's been my honor and pleasure. You're a fantastic host, my friend.
Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks. Can I ask you a question? Did you know that there's a technology that uses sound waves that'll tell your brain what to do? There literally is. It's called newcalm.com. It can tell your brain to heal, tell your brain to sleep, tell your brain to do all kinds of things. It can get you fired up. It can be a pre-workout. Newcalm.com. And the promo code is Mike15. Newcalm.com, promo code Mike15 for an extra 15% off. Go today.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at the Mike Litton Experience.